Yo, what's going on, family? In today's video, we'll be looking at creepy and strange TikToks that will make you question reality.
Women, while you are unconscious under anesthesia having surgery done, it is possible that a medical student may perform a pelvic exam on you without your knowledge or consent. This is legal in many states across the United States, and it looks like it's still legal in Canada and the UK as well. The question is, how many of us have been through this? And the answer is millions upon millions. The Hastings Center conducted a survey to find out how frequent this practice is, and based on the responses they got just from the people who responded to the survey, the patient count would have been 3.6 million. So the actual number is much, much higher. Some states have passed legislation, but it doesn't mean that the practice is actually banned in the state. My mind is blown by this. I cannot believe there's no federal legislation that says, no, you can't inspect a woman's without her permission. Like you're unconscious on a table, and medical students are coming in and doing a pelvic exam. My mind can't process that this is legal and still going on in 2024, and that I didn't know about it, and that I'm sure millions of women do not know about this. So if you're having surgery, I found out about this because I'm having surgery tomorrow. If you're having surgery, know the laws in your state and make sure you tell them you do not consent to anything other than the surgery you're having. If anyone has any more information, please leave it in the comments.
I have some very sad updates following JoJo Siwa's disappearance. As we all know, JoJo Siwa has been missing for a full month now, ever since she did this to Beyonce.
I also have to say thank you to Beyonce, just so that we can keep the dance community safe. Everybody, Beyonce, you got great music. We all love to dance to it. We all love you. Anyways, I am up here tonight.
Her comment section is bombarded with people asking where she is. Wow, it's been a full month. Did Beyonce really take her? The search bar is literally JoJo missing Beyonce. I really think we need to start looking into an investigation on where JoJo Siwa has gone following thinking Beyonce.
They done got JoJo Siwa.
This video is going viral right now, and people think it's proof that skinwalkers are real. I'm gonna show it to you, and then
yo, I was gonna start laughing, and then I seen it switch up real quick.
Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Yo, is this AI? What's really going on here? I'm gonna turn into a whole dog.
Look at this, y'all. This was at a basketball game in Indonesia, and one of the persons watching the game saw her and started recording because it seems that they were perplexed. And I have questions as well, because what is going on? Y'all see her eyes? You guys see how dark her eyes are? And her nails as well? What is going on here, y'all? Now, I believe it's common courtesy for when people see things like this for not to speak on that matter. But obviously, someone was very, perplexed by this situation and wanted to videotape this. Y'all see that?
Yo, imagine just sitting next to her. Like, you got to sit down. Like, you got your seats to the game, right? Oh, we're in section C6. And you're walking. And then you come up on her. And you like. But you got to sit down. And you look at your friend next to you like, you want to switch seats with me? And they're like, I ain't switching with you. So then you sit there and not try to look at the person the whole game. Yo, I couldn't imagine. I probably would have just freaked out.
Look at that. Different angles too. So it makes me feel like they know something is at a place and is not supposed to be there. What is going on? What y'all think about this over here, y'all? All I know is, ever since the news came out about this demon face syndrome, we have been coming across a lot of people just looking like they're coming from a zombie apocalypse movie. This is crazy. But let me know what you guys think about this video. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only.
I don't know what to think about that video.
Are you basically saying we should not eat fruit?
We should be eating fruit in season. Average apple in a grocery store is over a year old.
Are you kidding me?
No, over a year old. Ew. Sickness is good for business in so many ways. The sicker we are, the better the pharmaceutical companies do, the better big medicine does, and the better big agriculture does. There's no such thing as an anti-inflammatory food. You have to have foods that help your microbiome grow and foster, and then help seal your leaky gut.
Are you sincerely trying to save the world?
Well, I'm trying to do good things.
But you're trying to do good things and you're a billionaire.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit like either superhero or supervillain. You have to choose one. You sincerely think that we should go to Mars, like that men and women should go to Mars.
Yeah.
Why do we want to go to Mars? It's uninhabitable.
That's true.
It is. Like, you have to be in like domes and everything.
Initially?
Domes.
Yes.
Really? How long before we could turn Mars into someplace where we could live?
It is a fixer-upper of a planet. So
fixer-upper,
first you're going to have to live in transparent domes, but eventually you can transform Mars into an Earth-like planet.
How would you do that?
Just warm it up. If you
with
want
a blanket or with what? How would you warm Mars up?
There's the fast way and the slow way.
Okay. Give me the fast way.
The fast way is drop thermonuclear weapons over the poles.
You're a supervillain. That's what a supervillain does.
Yeah.
No, for real. He's a villain.
So now that everyone is finding out that their votes weren't counted, the question that you have to ask yourself is whether or not our votes were ever counted. If you truly believe that your votes were not counted in this election, do you really believe that this is the first time that's happened? Or could it just be that our votes have never mattered? Could it be that this whole thing has always just been predetermined? Could it be that while we have been playing checkers, they have been playing chess? While we're distracted by a meaningless election, they're unraveling a plan that they've developed 10 years ago. And they have the next 10 years already mapped out. They know our next moves before we even do, because that's how chess works. You don't predict your opponent's move, you force it. It could be that voting has simply become a way to see how many of us are still willing to comply with the system, while none of them comply with it. One thing the ruling class knows that apparently the rest of us don't, is that you don't gain that level of power by playing by the rules, but you do get there by making sure the subjects that you rule over play by them. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, how long are we willing to play by the rules while they don't? How long are we willing to play checkers while they're playing chess?
I ain't trying to play checker or chess. What's
if
next?
This cartoon predicts everything, what happened this time? Everything this cartoon shows so far, it manifested in our reality, but Trump won. Maybe they know something we don't know. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole. Before I go deeper into this topic, I want people to understand that Trump won, but he don't go into office until January 20th. And TikTok is shutting down.
Yo, this idea just came to mind. What if before he goes into office, we go into some type of crisis? Some type of war or something like that, right? To where they have to go to like martial law, and therefore whoever's in office stays in office.
Down January 19th. Can you imagine TikTok shutting down and something happening to Trump before he gets sworn in? That means Kamala becomes president. I believe she becomes president if something happened to him. By the way, if a world conflict break out, I believe they will remain in the office if a third world conflict break out. Maybe this cartoon knows something we don't know. By the way, pay attention to the colors. Blue, red, red, blue. When you put blue and red together, what color do you get? Maybe this cartoon knows something we don't know.
Yo, didn't Hillary wear purple too or something like that? I'm not sure though.
Now to a rare announcement from the U.S. Navy. Just one day after a Russian sub showed up in Cuba, the U.S. Southern Command announced that its fast attack submarine, the USS Helena, arrived in Guantanamo Bay. Now the announcement itself is unusual. The nuclear-powered sub is part of the Navy's so-called silent service, something that's typically kept a secret.
Silent service. I'd be scared to be on the water during an earthquake.
That shit is crazy.
Yo, look at the cloud. That ain't a cloud. Can't be a cloud. That's a ship.
It's a fucking cloud with lights in it. Moving weird. I've never seen no shit like that.
Cause that ain't no cloud, man.
Cloud got sparkly lights in it. I've never seen.
Hey, y'all see the light flash?
Moving weird. I know you see them sparkling lights in it. Never seen no shit like this in my life.
Where's it going though?
Okay, I have a theory on who the Antichrist is, and I'm going to try not to make this long. I have not prayed about this. This is not prophetic. This is something that I'm just getting in like an inclination. Let me say all of this. I'm not going to make this long, about 3 minutes. Before you scroll, the biggest one's going to be at the end, the biggest reason why. So first and foremost, let me get this out of the way. No, I don't think it's Donald Trump. While that man may fit the mold, or seemingly fit the mold, we know that Christ was 33 whenever he was crucified. The devil's son will mimic or counterfeit what Christ looked like. And maybe not to a T, but we know that this is not going to be a man that's 78 years old. I mean, why would the devil wait until he's 78 to fulfill that prophecy? At that point, you don't have to worry about him getting that mortal wound in Revelation. You'd have to worry about him falling and breaking a hip. With that being said, I do think it's somebody close to Trump. And it's somebody that people have been saying for a long time, but my reasons are a little different. I think it's Elon Musk. My parents were ordained ministers, and our dinner time conversations were not like other families. We would talk about all the characteristics of the Antichrist, the end times, what to look for, the rapture, etc. So let me give you a few that match. Number one, we know that this man will be a businessman and also a politician. This week, it came out that Trump took a call with Zelensky from Ukraine, and Elon was on the call. And what else came out, because everybody was like, that's a little weird, why did that happen? But apparently, Elon has been talking to Vladimir Putin for years. He suddenly got real political in the last few years. Secondly, back during the Johnny Depp trial, he and Amber Heard were suing each other. That trial started on my birthday. I'll never forget it. One of the pieces of information that came out was that Amber was having an affair with Elon, and she would bring him back to the penthouse while Johnny was out filming. She also brought back other people, and they weren't just women. So the scripture in Daniel, he will not regard the desire of women. Most people think that that just automatically means that he will not like women. But there could be an alternate meaning, and this is something I've studied recently, that basically that could also mean that he could like both or neither, that his desire for power is going to take precedence over romance. Third, he's not American born, and while it has always been suspected because of Nero and Hitler that the Antichrist would come out of Europe, he's South African, but he lived everywhere. Now he's in America, but that makes sense because it's a superpower. Next, I read this characteristic a long time ago, and I can't find it, but I will, I promise. A biblical scholar once wrote that one of the characteristics of the Antichrist is that he will either have a disfiguration, a birth injury, or a birth defect, and he will hide it and then he will reveal it. Elon came out and said that he was autistic. No offense to anybody autistic, it's just a diagnosis. That's really what I wanted to point out. Regardless, autistic people are geniuses. He has never said the name of Jesus. I have never heard him say the name of Jesus. Trump has. Many other political people have, even if they don't believe in Jesus. And we know in Daniel it says he will also not worship the gods of his father. So he just did an interview with Jordan Peterson, and in that interview he said Memphis, Egypt is where all of the old gods came out. Perhaps that's where the new god will come from. Excuse me? We know that he dressed as Baphomet for one Halloween because people were saying that he was the Antichrist. I know that, but that's a loaded statement. Perhaps that's where our new god will come from. And then this is the last one, the biggest one that I got. Let me put it to you this way. I think something's going to happen while he's with Trump. and that it's going to be aimed at Trump, but it's going to miss, and Elon will end up having that mortal head wound. And I think they're going to use Neuralink to bring him back. I bet you $1 million he's got it stored, all of his consciousness on a Neuralink somewhere, and they will implant it in his head. It will bring him back. And then he will tell everybody, if you want to live forever, if you want eternal life, that's all you need. All you have to do is put it in your head. He will have this power to give eternal life. We know that Neuralink also goes in the hand. So those are my reasons. This is a theory. Anyway, tell me what you think. I'll be back later, guys. I love you all. I'll see you soon.
I don't know what to think about Elon Musk, man.
Beginning to suspect that space and time are not fundamental properties of the universe. We're pretty sure, actually, I'd say we are as sure as we can be, that if something falls into a black hole, then ultimately in some form it comes out again in the far future, in the same sense that if you take a book and set it on fire, if you could in principle collect everything, all the ashes and the light and everything that comes off the book, then in principle you could reconstruct it. And it seems, we're pretty sure it's the same for black holes. You throw the book into a black hole, from the perspective of the book, we think you fall across the horizon into the interior of the black hole and go to the end of time, basically. The book essentially goes to this thing, the singularity at the end of time. From the external perspective, we think that the book gets vaporized on the horizon, and we think that both pictures are correct. But either way, they're different views of the same physics. The information that's contained in the book comes out. And the awe-inspiring thing is we're beginning to suspect that space and time are not fundamental properties of the universe, but they're made of something else. So we're talking about building blocks of space and time. So that's awe-inspiring. The fact that time might be made of something.
What if the universe didn't just start, but is evidence of booting up the Matrix? In this video, we're going to look at the Big Bang and the possibility that it could provide evidence that we live in a simulation. Now, before the Big Bang, the universe was sitting dormant. Some say it was condensed to the size of a tennis ball and it was like a quadrillion degrees. And an explosion happens and we have the beginning of space and time. What breaks your brain is this foundational core was not sitting in space. Space didn't exist. So what was before the Big Bang? If you ask a physicist, they'll talk about things like dark energy, dark foam, which are just about as understandable as something existing without space and time that created space and time. If you ask a theologian, they will say God created it, which many people will say, what created God? What was before God? Obviously, our minds have the constraints of time, and so we have to have the beginning and we have to have an end. But one possible explanation of the beginning is that the Big Bang was actually just the booting up of a program. What is the program? It is all the laws of the universe. This is Max Tegmark. He's an MIT cosmologist, and he says the strict laws of nature, physics, and different things point to the likelihood that we live in a simulation. In fact,
but what if these laws are only the laws that we know now? What if there's many other laws that we haven't even found out? You know what I'm saying? I just feel like there's a lot more to the universe than what we actually know, because there's things around us that we can't hear or see or smell, but they're there. You know what I'm saying?
Science, philosophy, mathematics, spirituality, it is all our attempt to decode the coding that operates the simulation. People often describe mathematics as the language of the universe. What if it's just the coding? We are just trying to re-engineer the simulation that we live within. Well, hear me out. What if the fact that the smartest people in our world right now, they look at the beginning of the universe and all they can say is, I don't know. There's just evidence that there was a massive explosion where space and time began to exist from that. Hear me out. If the Sims somehow came conscious, wouldn't that be akin to them just being like, listen, we don't know why we're here. We just know one day somebody turned something on, fired up the old Xbox, and now we exist. And I just want to note really quickly, the fact that a lot of people who believe in simulation theory are also staunch atheists, I think is a little bit contradictory, because it's not mutually exclusive. I mean, why would it have to be that either God created this or we're in a simulation? God could be the source of the simulation. But what if the start of all of this is just him pressing that power button and turning it on?
Y'all believe in a simulation theory?
Oh my God, please watch this video, y'all. This is Allie Carter. She claims to be a victim of P. Diddy and many other A-list celebrities. She also says those parties were more deeper than just freak-offs. They were involving other entities, if you know what I'm talking about. And I think she's telling the truth. This is why. We all remember the Run This Town video by Kanye, Rihanna, and Jay-Z, right? The whole video is basically taking place in a tunnel or underground or some type of crazy ruins or something. Who does that look like right there with the hair? Maybe I'm reaching, right? Okay, what about here? Am I still reaching? Okay. What about here? I don't think this is deniable, bro. That is very clearly Allie Carter. And even if you don't want to say that, that resembles her very much. Now, a mask can really change somebody's whole face. I understand that. But this is crazy, bro. Look at her here and look at this person. I don't know, bro. If she was in that video, there could be validity to what she was saying. That's all I'm saying, bro.
Hey, for real. Entity,
Why are they hiding this from us? Electric cars existed long before Tesla and the new wave of hybrid cars. Back in the early 1900s, electric cars were incredibly popular. 1/3 of all cars in the United States were electric. Today it's only less than 1%. So what happened? The government and oil industry saw electric vehicles as a threat to their profits. These industries had invested heavily in gasoline technology and infrastructure. To protect their interests, they conspired to suppress electric cars. They used their influence to introduce laws and regulations that favored gasoline vehicles. But it gets much, much darker. In 1980, Stanley Meyer invented a car that ran on water. His water fuel cell split water into hydrogen and oxygen. He was on the verge of revolutionizing the technological landscape. However, Meyer was silenced. His patents were revoked, and he faced numerous threats. In 1998, Meyer suffered a sudden heart attack after taking a sip from a carton of cranberry juice. And as he was dying, he kept repeating, "They killed me." After his death, the water engine disappeared from public view. Just like the reintroduction of electric cars, when do you think they will reintroduce the water fuel cell?
Yep, it's coming soon.
They always compare a cat to a dog. Let's compare a cat to a dog. A cat is spiritual. It's a spiritual warrior. On a spiritual level, they can see through all 9 dimensions. They protect you from negative energy. They can see negative energy. A cat, when a cat shit, it covers its shit up. A cat is conscious. They always chilling and observing. They conscious. They like chosen ones. They don't bother nobody. They don't eat nobody. Cats will eat some shit up, but they not gonna eat anything. But then you got a dog. A dog shit and pee everywhere. It destroys nature. A dog would stick his nose in everything. A dog have no type of consciousness at all about him. I'm talking about a dog before it's programmed by humans. Let's take humans off the planet. And then you got dogs. Where the fuck did these small, tiny GMO dogs come from? These little cupcake poodles and shit. They made in labs so they can make profit off y'all and sell them to the humans. These dogs is GMO too. Understand that. Dogs serve no purpose for humanity. They are scavengers. They eat anything. They can eat anything and just die. Poison, it don't matter what it is. They eating it.
Is he lying though?
The United States government is offering you a piece of land of your own.
We have our own land.
No, it's not yours. It's the U.S. government's.
Did they buy it?
No.
Did they trade for it?
It's not like that.
Then how can they own it?
He has a point.
We will give you everything you need if you will just submit to living on a reservation.
We need nothing from you.
You can depend on your country to take care of you.
You are not my country.
Mr. Durant, if we could just... Senator Crane has come here to offer your people a better way of life.
Better than what?
Better than what you have.
I like what I have.
So one of the first things you have to do is crash the economy, which would cause tens of millions of Americans to lose their jobs and homes. creating an environment for the ultra-rich billionaire class who are, as we learned during COVID, immune to all economic crisis when they just get richer. This will put them in a position to buy up and control all the wealth and all the means of production in the country. So that would consolidate all the power down to just a select few, which of course would also be directly intertwined with all aspects of our new government. This would leave all the citizens to basically fight amongst each other for whatever scraps they can get, essentially creating like a peasant class and a ruling class, eliminating everything in the middle. You see, authoritarians, they don't want to have thriving economies because those create strong middle classes and independent citizens who have time to think and do things and want better things. They need it to only be good enough to enrich a select few and keep the people fighting for everything that's left over. So when the world's richest man and Donnie's new bestie said the other day that he knows that Trump's policies would crash the economy and then that people would just have to budget better, this is why. This is what he meant and this is what they want. This is an excerpt from the same playbook that Vlad uses in Russia, and it's called How to Build an Authoritarian Oligarchy. Let's not be like Russia, y'all.
Look, people, this antenna at the top has a wire following it all the way down the building. All the way down into the ground. It's because this antenna is harnessing the ether. The ether is the element that fills all space with infinite free energy. And all of the energy that this is producing is being grounded and sent straight into the ground. All of these buildings from the 17 to 1800s have these antennas, spikes on the top of them, because they are all doing the exact same thing. It was a complete different world. They've got rid of this technology because now they're capitalizing and making you a slave to work to pay the bills for something that is free.
Hey, so these are probably like charging centers, right? So, that would harness the energy. You could pull up your little car, your electric vehicles, that they had back in the day, charge your stuff up. Or whatever instruments they had that needed to be charged up could probably get charged at these centers. And then they turned them into something else,
Look, here's another one. Antenna being grounded again on another building. We need to wake up and realize that there is free energy. Once we all realize this, the whole system goes down.
We got to figure out how to harness it. For real.
Every now and then on this app, I learn things that I'm like, I need to look that up and see if that's actually true. And here's something that I looked up and it was actually true. From 1947 until 1971, it was illegal in the state of California for women to be bartenders. That was part of the California Alcoholic Beverage Control Act of 1947. Section 2565(6) prohibited women from working as bartenders. A court case was brought, and in 1971, the all-male California Supreme Court made it legal again for women to be bartenders on May 27th, 1971.
If you want your body to burn fat, you need to be able to be hungry. Because your body doesn't have a reason to burn fat unless you're hungry, unless you're empty. In other words, you can say hungry or you can just call it empty. Remember that hunger a lot of times is when we are feeling very emotional. Because when we don't have things that are blocked here in the stomach, we feel our stomach. We actually feel the feelings here in the gut so much more. And that feeling in the gut, when we actually can feel it, people call that hunger. Mentally, somebody will say that I need food because I haven't eaten. For those of you that have fasted before, you see what happens when you actually don't eat. Does your energy go down or does your energy go up? Because energy is not directly correlated with food. It actually drains our energy to go ahead and break down food. That's why when we eat too much, what happens? Does our energy go up or our energy goes down, right? We experience food comas. We can't even stay awake because our body is so drained because it has to break down all that food.
They voodooed and hexed and did all this stuff to you, and God done stood in the gap so many times for you. They see you as something else you want to be around. Chosen one, it's some people that thought sure you were supposed to be in a grave, and because you are not, they can't even be around your presence. Because they made deals with the Grim Reaper, and you still are amongst the land of the living. They don't understand it. They shook hands with the Grim Reaper, chosen one. So they don't know what you are. They shook hands with death in your name. They shook hands with death, so they don't know who you is. They don't know where you come from. They say, you done been here before. You done made a deal with somebody, because they done shook hands with death in your name. And you still here. It's some people that don't want to be around you, chosen one. It's some people that don't even want to be in the same town as you. Sure don't. It's some things, chosen one. Not only that, chosen one, there are some things. When God stood in the gaps for you, when God stood in the gaps for you, some people backed down when they saw God standing in the gaps. When God stood in the gap for you, some people said, man, look, God's standing there, and they backed down. But when God stood in the gaps for you, some people kept running up to the bridge trying to get across, and God said, I'm standing in the gap. And he had to push them back. Chosen one, God to touch some people for you.
Y'all hear that? God had to touch some people for you, chosen one. Man, these are some of the most spiritual, creepy, and strange TikToks that are out there. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bells on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.